Hello everyone, I'm Adam Papagan. Welcome to the ASMR talk show, the show that feels good to hear. If this is your first time joining us, ASMR, soft talking and soft noises, and certain people, when they hear those soft noises and talking, they get a little tingle in the front part of their head. So this is a talk show, not about that, but like using that, I guess you could say. One thing I like to do on this show, I'm a very, very honest person, is I like to pull back the curtain a little bit sometimes in these monologues, tell you about kind of what goes on behind the scenes, what goes into the making of the show. So something that happened to me preparing for this week's episode, had a great guest lined up. She's a tour guide, some interesting tours. I did my weekly thing to confirm. I was like, hey, we're still good? She's like, yeah, it sounds great, but I have to leave at exactly 6:30. And so my first instinct from years of doing public access was like, oh, okay, we'll just have to rush and get it done and make sure that this person get their deadline. But then I thought, you know what, it's the last tape date of the year. Everyone's working for free. Why add that stress of trying to get done early? And there's a good chance we won't even get done by 6:30 anyway, and then make that person late. I'll find somebody else. So I said, no, thank you. We'll get you on to a future show. And then very quickly I found tonight's guest, who I'll introduce in a second. But as soon as I made that call, I was like, the old me, episode 10, episode 35, episode 60 would have been like, all right, let's rush through it, let's get this done. And there could have been some problems, but I was like, that realization, like, oh, just get somebody who has enough time to do it, and then it'll just be more chill and more fun to do. I was really excited when I reached that realization, because I was like, finally I'm learning something from doing this show. After 150 episodes, I realized you should get somebody who has enough time to actually appear on the show. So we're moving forward, is my point. We're really excited about it. And it turns out we did start filming today, probably the earliest we've ever started. So there would have been plenty of time in there. But everything happens for a reason. I decided to call on, I had one tour guide who was gonna come on, and I was like, you know what? Why showcase this person's tour? I have someone who I have personally been developing a tour with, who's a fountain of information. You've probably seen him, well, maybe it's 150 episodes, maybe you haven't seen it, but he's been on the show before. Good friend of mine, always fun to talk to him. Welcome Ryan Liechten to the program.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to be back in your new digs over here. It's nice, it's cool, yeah. Damn, 150 episodes?
Something like that, yeah.
What do you even talk to other people about? Like, I'm fucking interesting, but like, someone that's not.
To be 100% frank with you, it's really hard to remember episode, like what, even the people I've had on, that's once you get to that number, it's just kind of an impression where I was like, oh yeah, Ryan, he's interesting. Yeah, he can do it again.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Yeah, he's got at least 30 minutes. But you have a lot of projects and stuff.
I do.
Or interest, yeah. So I want to talk about first the other Hollywood tour.
Of course.
So you came to me with this idea 6 months ago. We've been working on this. You're like, hey, let's do like a murder tour, but it's not. It's a scandal tour.
Yeah, I think like our biggest thing is like sex. Like I feel like that comes up like so much on the tour, more than. But everyone loves the murder stuff. You know what I mean? That's what everyone's gonna.
Well, some of the murders are driven by sex.
Oh, completely.
Fueled, sex fueled. So
fuels the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a scandal tour. You know what I mean? More than anything. You know what I mean? Scandal can be everything from murders to a sex scandal to just like a questionable business on the boulevard. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily have any, media troubles or anything like that, but just is scandalous.
Getting shut down by the health inspector. You can go by and be like, oh yeah, that was make them look bad.
Or even the opposite. You walk by and you're like, that place got an A. It's kind of like the same thing. But yeah, it's different.
What gave you the idea to want to put something like this together?
Well, it's a couple of things. Like when I went on your OJ tour, that's when I was like, oh wow, like that's awesome that you can just like why, like that's what you do when you have this much knowledge about something so niche, you know what I mean? Like, so that was really inspirational. But then also one day my buddy hit me up and he's like, dude, I'm hanging out with this girl from New York. She wants to like see the sights, like she likes weird stuff, like will you give us a tour? I never knew where a lot of these places were, but I just like put on my performer's cap and hopped in the back seat and just started Googling all these addresses, doing stuff in between, and that's when I realized like, oh man, like there's so many of these places, and it's like you could do like a comprehensive loop, and who better to hit up to make that actually come together than you know?
Well, I must say that this is, you're the driving force behind this tour. I've done my consulting, I've given you some perspective, but your energy and excitement for it, it's, get a lot of philosophical with it. A tour, it's like,
right.
It's like any other art form. It exists out there in the cosmos, in the universe. And it's up to you to make those connections.
To get behind the wheel of the bus.
Yeah, and connect those dots and make it in. Because all those places are there.
Right, yeah.
But to find the connection.
Connecting the dots, yeah. Well, you know what else it comes from? You know this. Everyone talks crap on Hollywood. Like, people that have never been here are just like people in general, in Los Angeles in particular, but like Hollywood, even, you know, as like a microcosm of that. Like, oh, LA, plastic people. Like, oh yeah, LA sucks. Like, oh, Hollywood, really? Well, it's like, no, this is an incredible place. And I'm gonna show you all the cool stuff. Like, everyone's talking shit on all of like the normal tourist stuff. That's all anyone thinks of, but there's such like a hidden and not so hidden history that people don't even bother to go treat like landmarks, like the Menendez brothers' house. Like, that's a Los Angeles landmark in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like, that's huge, and it's like people don't think about that stuff. So a lot of it was like inspired, of course, by like, again, like my love of just the city, you know what I mean? So where it's like, no, like let's show you why I love it so much, like why I love just walking down the street, you know?
And I don't think people realize until they take our tour, the sheer number of notable, and we're kind of using that loosely, that term, but the sheer number of scandalous or notable things that have happened on like every single block of like the central part of Los Angeles, West Hollywood, Santa Monica Boulevard, Sunset, like all the big streets you hear about.
Oh, yeah, completely. And that's just the stuff you would have heard about.
The famous people.
Yeah. You know, like, yeah, when you always say at the end, it's like there's like every square inch that we drive on the tour, like nobody went through some crazy stuff that like no one's ever gonna find out about. You know what I mean? But it's like the mosaic of the city is like pieced together by these like insane mainstream scandals. It just makes you think what goes on that we don't hear about.
Totally. When we go by some of these old hotels that you've pointed out to, I just think like, oh, people have definitely died there.
Oh, completely.
Like tens to maybe like 50 people have died
maybe
there.
a million.
Yeah, maybe about that. That's some hotel. But yeah, so overdoses, suicides, whatever. Yeah. You learn to just spot that they're like rat traps for misery. And
once you see a couple of them, and I mean, once you like kind of look at things the way like you or I look at things, or like anyone that's into kind of this like darker history or like niche pop culture stuff, once you kind of have like the feel for it and like the flavor of it, you can just look at any business and be like, oh yeah, that's that kind of place. Like, oh yeah, like that's super posh, but like that's not a good place to go. Like, you just know, you know.
Totally. And you get an eye for it.
Completely, yeah.
And
smell it out.
Yeah, and I always think about too, like when I'm driving around LA, especially when our loop, you know, covers Santa Monica Boulevard, and I'll take that across town from Hollywood back home to Santa Monica, and I just think, oh, that's where that happened. It's like I'm like seeing all my friends. Yeah. Like, oh, there's John Belushi's ghost over there. Like, oh, there's Eddie Murphy's scandal right there.
Yeah,
you know, it's an idea, just like a persona is an idea, or a creative idea.
Yeah. And that's what they leave behind, you know what I mean? Even if you're not seeing the ghost, just like
the tangible.
Chateau Marmont, John Belushi died there. Like, that fact is a ghost, you know what I mean? Like, that fact in and of itself is a haunting. You know what I mean? To where you look at this place, you're seeing that, but you're not, but you are, you know?
And you're seeing the place in real time, but you also are seeing it with knowing about the story. So you can kind of see, you're looking at it, but you have the story underneath it. So like a ghost, like you were saying.
Yeah.
You get the picture. It is kind of alarming, though, the number of people who are just swallowed up and have their lives ruined, ended
Completely.
by show business, and this city in particular, Los Angeles.
Well, I mean, when you want to talk showbiz, like, yeah, I mean, like New York, you know, has endless stories of the same stature, but it's just different. Like, I feel like out here, it moves so much faster. Like, you can go to New York and you'll find some like 70-year-old woman in a hoarder apartment that could tell you all about the glory days, and she never made it, but I almost did. That woman wouldn't have lived past 30 here.
No,
you know,
too much
and that's what it
temptation.
is. It's just so poisonous. It just hits you so much quicker. It's not a slow burn. It's a flash in a pan. And yeah, it's like, and also it's like, just fame in and of itself is so like addictive. So these people that already kind of have problems, they get that little taste, and it's like you just go full force in it, and yeah, you burn out. You know what I mean? And this is where you do that, because this is where you hope to end up. You know. And
really, not much effort is made to educate people about this problem, prevent it from happening.
What are you talking about? Black dog. I mean, yeah.
It's just
because you don't want to crush
problem.
dreams. You don't want to crush it. You don't want to be, listen, kid. You don't want to go, what do you want to be? A movie star. You want to tell them, it's probably not going to work out. You're probably going to go to a couple auditions. You're going to live in this Hollywood hotel. It's really terrible. It's kind of greasy. You know, and then you're going to, find yourself in some questionable situations. Might make you uncomfortable. No one wants to hear that. You just say, okay.
And there are some people who do make it out. And like, if you just throw in like a good story every once in a while,
yeah,
people are like, oh yeah, like we go in Beverly Hills, like, oh, that's where Julia Roberts' character got thrown out of the dress shop, and people will be like, oh yeah, like that didn't even really happen. Yeah. That's a part of a movie, but you could just point at that building, and people are like, oh yeah, dreams do come true in Beverly Hills.
There's like two kinds of tour you could take. That's where the other Hollywood tour, like you take any tour in Hollywood, you're going to see all these things that never really happened. You know what I mean? But you feel like they did, because these are things that are more like, most people don't know, like, who was there with the Liberty Bell or any of these things, or any of these things, but everyone knows, like a scene from a huge movie or what have you. So yeah, like there's a whole business of showing people places where things didn't happen. It's bizarre, but there is that flip side to Hollywood that we show the other Hollywood, where it's like, these are things that actually happen with the same people,
What's your favorite thing, either on the tour or that you've discovered from doing this research and your new little foray into tour guiding?
I mean, the Eddie Murphy thing is really the Eddie Murphy thing is really fascinating, because it was a lot deeper of a story than he got busted. Like Hugh Grant, for instance, like more people remember that because he got busted getting a blowjob. Hookers had told everything, and he got in trouble, the whole deal. Eddie Murphy, it was like, he didn't get in trouble. He just kind of got busted. It got out to the media, but he got let off. And he just said, I was giving her a ride. Even though you're in like prostitution area at 4 a.m, driving your own car, A-list star, like everything points to nefarious activity. But it gets so much crazier than that, because then I found out that prostitute, he had asked her, do you wear lingerie? And he's like, what if I give you some lingerie, will you wear it, blah, blah, blah. And that's something that she had told her cousin, who told her story to the Enquirer. A couple months later, after she got busted, that prostitute was found dead in a hotel room in Los Angeles wearing lingerie. It's like, I'm not saying anything, but just these kinds of it paints a weird, bigger picture than just, he got stopped by police with a prostitute in the car. It gets way crazier than that, So that's probably my favorite thing. But my favorite stop is the donut time. Yeah.
Donut time with the old the old transvestite prostitute, sex worker.
Yeah, transgender prostitute area. So again, that place needs to be a landmark. Like
a little plaque.
Yeah, they shouldn't have changed it. A little plaque. Yeah, all that.
Well, you go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and they have a battlefield. Not even there. It's just a field where like a lot of people died. That's why
we need to make a landmark for where people lived.
Yeah, it really lived. Lived fast.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's just this place eats people alive of all walks of life, and that's why I love it.
Yeah. It's great.
It's like those old Hollywood guys you see at like the Frolic Room, or like some of these old Hollywood bars. They look so chewed up.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, that's Hollywood. Like that's what I want to be.
So every once in a while, somebody will not get chewed up. Very rarely, though.
No, yeah. Sometimes you're Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's cool.
Yeah. Sometimes you turn into a movie star. Yeah. Most of the time you don't. But that's but we wouldn't think of doing a tour of like, oh, like, this
Where
is where
good things
George
happened.
Clooney lives. No, who cares? Like, we want to go see where people died or terrible things happen, things that actually shape
culture.
the culture,
and
yeah.
it can be used as a microcosm or a prism to kind of
Americana.
talk about a bigger thing.
Completely.
So kind of shifting gears a little bit, your other project is your Woodstock 99 podcast.
Yeah, podcast 99.
Coming up on the 20th anniversary of Woodstock 99.
Yeah, and I hear they're...
And 50th of the actual Woodstock. But
Right, yeah.
that begs the question, why the 99 Woodstock, not the 69 one where like
Or 94.
Jimi Hendrix? Well, nobody cares about the 94 one.
More people care about 94 than 99 because there was like
More recent.
9 Inch Nails played like what's considered to be one of the most legendary live sets of the decade at that, you know what I mean? And there's like...
95?
94, yeah.
94,
I mean, nothing really happened. Like, it was just nice. It was just a good time. But why not 69? Because 69 had its problems, and there's like a whole lot of crazy stuff that went on that people don't know about. But it's been covered, you know what I mean? It's such like a staple point. It's not like very few things as monumental as a Woodstock festival have been just completely erased from American history. You know, like the things that America tends to like sweep under the rug historically. It's like, man, I'm trying to think of like some really big nasty ones, like internment camps. They don't talk about that. Mm-hmm. You know, Woodstock 99, they don't talk about that. Not that the two are the same, but you know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where it's like so awful. At the time, it was so big, it affected so many people, and then it's just like completely not talked about. And I feel like it's so relevant now with all the things that made Woodstock 99 so terrible. I feel like there's reflections of that in society ever since. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Generic-wise, playing in the streets?
not even the music, just like when you get that many people together that have the wrong idea. You know what I mean? I feel like we've just...
The mob mentality.
Yeah, like mob mentality and just like gross misogyny and just like toxic masculinity and all these things that like, you know, there have been words for forever, but now everyone knows these words. That stuff is like, I mean, class A evidence of, you know, when you watch Woodstock 99 footage. But also just like damn, like Woodstock. Like when you compare it to the original one, that was like such like a life-changing
And those
event.
old artists are also iconic.
Yeah, completely.
And the 99 lineup is, you know, that era of rock music isn't really known for being one of the best. You had
No.
Korn,
It was
Limp
almost a
Bizkit.
coffin in the nail for a lot of the bands, you know, or it was like the last like high water mark for them. Yeah, like bands like Korn and Limp Bizkit. It's like, which people forget. Like at the time, it's like, no, they weren't just big. They were #1 in the world, multi-platinum selling artists.
In an era when everyone bought CDs, every CD that came out in that era would sell 100,000 units minimum.
Yeah.
Because they had...
That was like indie bands doing that. Like Bad Religion would sell like 100,000. You know what I mean? But like before they were even huge, before they were like a t-shirt band. But like Limp Bizkit, you're talking like they would release it like first month, like 3 million copies all around the world.
It was kind of one of the last times that everyone was listening to the same music.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
MTV hadn't like... They were still a tastemaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
TRL.
And that's what it was, yeah. TRL, and then like... And people were invested in videos, and people were stoked to hear new shit come out. That's like the big difference at Woodstock 99, when you see these bands that are like the biggest bands in the world, and they're like, you want to hear some new stuff? Everyone goes crazy, like, hell yeah, I can't wait. You go to like a festival now, and like any band at Coldplay, like, this is a new one, everyone's like, like, you know, so they're not down. It was just a different time for music, but it was also like, because 2000, like 2001, right after that, Napster hits, changes, everything.
Was
it was
Napster
never the
in
same.
2000?
It was like, I want to say, like early versions of like computer nerds, like the guys that like now are like really into torrenting and like, you know, Bitcoin and stuff. They would have been on Napster in like 2000.
Yeah.
By the time like I would have been using it as like 2001-ish, you know what I mean? 2002 maybe, probably like 2001. But then all the other stuff started coming out. We had totally changed music. And Woodstock 99 was such like a money grab that it melted down. It turned into riots and fires and looting. And there was rapes and violence. No one died. Only one person died. More people died at the original Woodstock.
Only one person died at the rock concert?
Yeah. Only
What a
one.
miracle.
No, yeah. At like Altamont.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2 people died. Woodstock 69, 2 people died in No one died in 94. But you know what else is weird? A couple babies were born at Woodstock 99 and 69, but at Altamont, which was, for those that don't know, like
the West Coast Woodstock.
Yeah, the West Coast
Woodstock.
The Rolling Stones. They had Hells Angels do security for them, so they didn't have to spend money. 3 babies were born at that. That means 3 pregnant women were like, I'm going to go to the Stones concert where the Hells Angels are getting paid in beer to be security. Ready to pop. That's crazy.
Maybe the stress of the situation induced the labor, though.
Yeah, or maybe all just like the wavy dancing.
The sound waves.
The hippies did, you know, back then.
Fieldy's bass.
Yeah.
Look at those kids out.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But yeah, that podcast, it's led me down like a wild path because we've interviewed people that have gone now. We've interviewed someone that played. Like, we're going to interview like a big production guy on it. Like, and it's so much crazier. It really makes me think about other legendary concerts. You know what I mean? But like, I don't care. Like, I have no interest like in hearing about like, oh, like, how crazy was the first Coachella or like anything like that. Like, Woodstock 99 tops everything. 400,000 people. You know what I mean? Almost 500,000 people, and half of them bought tickets. Everyone else snuck in. So it's just a fucking free for all. It'll never happen like that again.
It's just sort of it's one of those things where once you know the story, it's like a fairy tale where you know the ending, but you just want to hear it told again and again in different ways. You know, because then you know
ways
how
to
it's
tell
going
it
to
too,
end.
because like, you know, the people that played, like we talked to this guy, he was 16 years old when he played. He was on like the emerging artist stage, as it's called, so it's not like the 2 main ones. And dude, he had no idea that anything bad was happening, and he played on Sunday during the riots, and someone had to like come in and be like, hey, like, things are going really bad over there because everything was so far apart. But then you talk to a guy that was like watching like Red Hot Chili Peppers, who was the last band to play on the main stage, and they're like, it was like Lord of the Flies. You know what I mean? It's like some people have like the chillest time ever, and like we're so happy they went, and like the memories, and then other people are like, like glad I made it out of that, you know.
All things considered, through the lens of 20 years later, is Woodstock 99 a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. For a lot of people, it was a bad thing, but overall, I think it taught a lot of valuable lessons. You know what I mean? Like we, as in like just regular everyday people, even music enthusiasts, don't talk about Woodstock 99 stuff, but Woodstock gets referenced all the time. You know what I mean? Like all these, like even Altamont, like there's other moments in music history, bands and all this stuff get referenced all the time. But I think the people that work in music and put on these like huge festivals like Coachella or Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo, they all know about Woodstock in 99, you know what I mean? They all know what not to do now and how to handle things. And I'm sure, like, because that's like a union job, like, you know what I mean, doing those kind of set designs and stuff. So it's like, you know, there's people that worked at that are still doing this that are like, I was there, man, like telling their war story. So I think overall it made, we have festivals as much as we do now because we had things like Woodstock 99 to learn from, and like how to have the biggest blown out commercially successful festival in the world without it burning in flames, you know. So I think that came out of it.
You going to Woodstock 2019?
Yes, we already, me and my co-host, we already decided. We're like, dude, like we're bummed, like, but we're like, if it happens, like, we have to go.
You're bummed?
Yeah, I guess it's gonna be like Post Malone and like, you know. But I think it's gonna be.
You're right. It's not gonna be tight at all.
No, but okay. I think there will be like a dance tent. I think there's gonna be like contemporary stuff. But, and by the way, Post Malone is like the Kid Rock of nowadays, so like I wouldn't be that bummed on that. But you know what I mean, like it'll just be like garbage nowadays music. But Michael Lang, who's the founder of Woodstock, he did the original one, did 94, did 99. He said, because he was at that Desert Trip Fest with like all the dad, like Paul McCartney, Rolling Stones and stuff. He was there when he first announced that he was thinking about doing another one. So I think he has that kind of thing in his head, like pictures. So it'll probably be like a lot of alumni, like stuff that like the people that are old enough to have like had a chance to go to Woodstock and didn't, that are still around, like this will be for them.
And who knows, maybe there'll even be a riot or something. Yeah. You'll get lucky and something horrible will happen.
I was going to say, I hope I go and it's just like super boring because it'll be so much funnier to make fun of. But like, if it's like super gnarly, like, yeah, I'm going to fucking take shit. Like, I'm going to steal stuff.
So Ryan, we only have a few minutes left, but to play devil's advocate for a second, you know, you're talking about all these facts about Woodstock '99 and, you know, Eddie Murphy, they went down right there. And that's like really, you know, knowing an expert on this thing, the argument could be, okay, so what? Who cares about Woodstock '99? Who cares where some movie star got busted? That's really not significant. Why does stuff like this matter? Why is it important?
Well, when you hear the word pop culture, right, it's like pop, short for popular, you know, like culture, everything that society creates and leaves for posterity. This is all that, you know what I mean? It's like you can play your life by the rules and just read what's in the history book, close it, graduate school, go on, work your job, or you can ask more questions. Why was this like this? What else was happening? What's the worst things that have ever happened? You know what I mean? If you don't ask yourself these questions, you're only getting half the story of the planet and really half the story of who you are. You know, because you learn a lot about yourself through learning about history and learning about the struggles of these celebrities that we see every day on billboards, but then you read about how dark they are inside their life. There's something to be learned from that stuff. And just like I said, like with Woodstock '99, something that's so silly and like most people just laugh and like, oh wow, like that's goofy. Give someone like a business card. They're just like I met the DJ from Limp Bizkit and he's like, why are you doing this? Like, who cares? But it's like, dude, because like I said, there's something to be learned. You know what I mean? That's why everyone should care. In pop culture, there's niches to it and there's dark sides of it. It's not just the shiny face you see on the billboard. It's also the dirty face you see on the cover of the Enquirer. You know what I mean? It's like we're almost more overexposed to that kind of history every day in the supermarkets and stuff. We're just giving it some credo and some, you know, posterity. You know what I mean? Some credit, if you will, where we make it a little more legit than just some rag on the magazine rack. So yeah, I think it's important for everyone to learn about Eddie Murphy picking up a transgender prostitute.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for
Other
watching
Hollywood
it.
Tour brought to you by Adam and Ryan, Podcast 99 on your podcast thing. And of course, the ASMR Talk Show. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time, this is Adam Papagan reminding you that there's a place you can go, and it's your mind. Good night.